Thank you again, the Unity Singers. Thank you. So now I invite you to, after that beautiful song, to go into our consciousness for just a few moments in meditation. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, just get comfortable wherever you are. Just begin to settle in. Rest your body. You might put your hands on your lap and begin to focus on your breath. We're going to talk more and more about this in the next few weeks, about how meditation can truly, truly change our life experience. But we just begin today very gently to relax our body. Let the chair fully support you. And you might turn your awareness to your body to see if there's any place that you need to release and relax. And you do that by just taking a deep breath in fully and feel your body rise up. And then exhale and feel, just settle in and be. Just fully be. And let's do that again. Take a deep breath in. And then let's just relax. It's on the exhale. And we know in meditation that no matter what's going on, we can look and survey our environment. We can focus on where we are. And no matter what's going on, we can find that place inside of us where the intuitive becomes in our awareness, the intuitive knowing, the intuitive awareness of who and what we are. So continue to breathe and see if you can relax even deeper. Relax even deeper in this now moment. Nowhere to be, nothing to do except to be right here in this inner life, in your inner life right now. As you take a deep breath in and then exhale out. Just as we've stilled the body, we can quiet the mind. So we're not trying to eliminate thoughts in this now moment right now. We're just not trying to let them go by. Let them drift by like clouds in the sky. And just be. So as you sit right now into this space and we let the thoughts go by, if you find yourself getting attached to a thought, just come back to the breath. That is the practice of meditation, just to come back to the breath. For right now, in this now moment, in this place of stillness and quietness, there is only peace. There is only peace. Immersed in peace, enmeshed in peace, surrounded by peace. Nothing but peace. Feel the presence of that peace in you right now. As you breathe fully, relax completely, and just be. So as we sit in the silence for just a few moments, just feel this peace that you are. The peace. Peace, be still and know that I am. So that from that place of peace, Rest in the silence for just a few moments. In the silence. In the silence. In the silence. So now I invite you to take a deep inhale. And as you inhale, breathe in this peace. And as you exhale, breathe out peace. Inhale peace. And exhale peace. Quiet, calm, undisturbed peace. Now ever so gently, very gently, you can begin to wiggle your body, move your toes, your hands. You might roll your shoulder to just return to this now moment and feel peace. Where did you go from that couple minutes of silence, or that silence that I just did? Where did you go? Isn't that funny how our minds work with that? So we're going to be talking a lot about that in this book, Living Untethered by Michael Singer. And if you think about this for a minute, right now, and Michael opens this book with this, and he talks about it in the Untethered Soul as well. You're on a 4.5 million year old planet, relatively a speck of dirt in this spinning in this black universe of nothingness. And our species has been here for only 200 to 300,000 years. And while we get roughly 80-year ride in this speck of dirt, plus or minus a few years, we were born on this planet, and when we die, we will leave this planet. What's life like for you here on this planet today? That's the whole series of what Michael Singer is talking about, is what is your life? How is your, and not necessarily the outer, but how's your inner life? What is your inner life like? Very exciting. It can be very hard, can be very exciting. It can bring enthusiasm, passion, and inspiration. But that's not what always happens in everyday life, is it? Life doesn't always unfold exactly as we want it to. And if we resist that, our experience can be quite unpleasant. If we resist. The resistance is what changes from, passion, inspiration, enthusiasm. The resistance to reality is what can change our life. I wanted to, the words to that song that Summer Osborne sang is, I am here, I am whole, I am whole as I am. I am safe, I am loved, I am grateful, I am free, and I'm as perfect as can be. I am here, I am whole as I am. If we could remember that throughout our everyday life, life would be different for us. Now, obviously, she sings that a lot to support as an activist for the LGBTQ community. But it speaks to me directly because it's as I am, right here, right now, as I am. And what we know about that, the song is freeing because what we know is the tension or the resistance that we create in our life, and most of the time we do create it, creates tension, anxiety. Resistance creates the tension and anxiety, and it makes our life a burden. So wise one throughout all the ages, Michael Singer talks about this, have taught the importance of accepting reality. That's really what this book and his journey is about, accepting reality, surrender and accepting reality. Only by accepting reality can we work with the flow of life as it passes by us to a better world. So he gives a great example in the book that scientists can't deny reality. So he gives this example. So are there any pilots in here? Anybody fly? My next door neighbor just took flying lessons. This was very appropriate, his example, because my neighbor just flew his whole family down to Key West. But to fly, we must embrace the law of gravity, not deny its existence. The same is true in the spiritual realm of our lives. Teachings such as surrender, acceptance, and non-resistance form the basis of a deeply spiritual life. Now, rather than get all hung up and serious about this, and it is, but the reality is, I call this a reality check. You're getting old when friends with benefits means having someone who can drive at night. Reality check. Accept it. Don't drive at night if you can't see. I have a friend, friends with benefits. And another one, it's weird. It's just weird to me. I'm sure many of us would agree. It's weird being the same age as old people. Reality check. We are. So Singer says in his book, it's a journey into the reasonableness of acceptance and the promises from being accepting of acceptance. Freedom, peace, inner enlightenment. So what is acceptance? How do we define that? He defines it as non-resistance to reality. Non-existence to reality. So we each have a choice about whether to accept an event or consciousness or circumstances or resist it. So we can either accept it or resist it. So how and why do you make this decision? That's Michael Singer's work. That's his complete work to help us decide how to do that. But first, he says, and encourage, if you've read any of his work, he says we must, who is within, we must know and decide who is within. Who is this inside of us, in this inner life? Who is this that has the power to decide? Do we accept it or do we resist it? You are certainly in there. You are in there. And in the meditation, I like to say, find that place, that intuitive place in you where you know your true self. You find your true self in this intuitive place inside and approach life from that place. It's the awareness of self. Self with a capital S. He says, Michael Singer says, that's the most important topic we can have. There's probably not another topic that we could talk about besides accepting ourselves. So you're in there. What does that mean? So we're inside of us. What does that mean? So if I hold up 3 different photographs, and if I thought about it, I would have had 3 different photographs. If I hold those 3 photographs up, whatever they are, and you look at them, they're 3 different photographs. You get a different image of them. But who is doing the seeing? Did you change because you looked at the photograph? Was the photograph you? Was the thought about what was in the photograph you? Or were you the observer? Were you looking? And of course, the pictures changed, but the who you are inside stayed the same. You are the observer. So that's a very simple example of what Michael Singer does throughout his book, and particularly this first part of this book is trying to tell us that it's us. We are the observer. We are not the thing. We are not the object. So our bodies is another example. We can get so hung up on the body, right? How we look. So reality check. So I sat down here a minute ago. I went in the bathroom to put my, undo my shirt, put this in. So when I sat down back here, my pants were unzipped. Reality check. And we don't have to, I thank God, I'm 71 years old almost, and so it's not a thing. We get all hung up about things like that. My pants were unzipped. So reality check, that's real life right here, right now. So we get so hung up on the body, how it looks, how our hair is. And, when we're looking at the changes that's taken place to our bodies over the years, I always say that when I was 6 years old, I had this image of me when I was 6 years old. I was short, still am short. So I was short, 6 years old, riding the school bus. I would get, probably scared to death when I was the first grade. But I have an image of that. It comes to me all the time that I'm the same person as that little 6-year-old boy. Because that self inside of us doesn't change. Yeah, we grow old. Our bodies are different. More experience, and but the question remains, who's in there doing the seeing? Who's in us doing the seeing? So today's surgeon, the medical marvels we have are just amazing. Surgeons can remove a great deal of our body parts, yet the same sense of self is still there. We're aware of the changes, definitely, So how could your body change that much and you stay the same? Because you are not your body. You're an observer of your body. Yeah, we're here. You're not your body. And like I said, you can emphasize that by looking at your life when you were 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, on and on for some of us. So who are you? Who are you? Who is doing the looking? So again, this relationship, that's what's in us is always one of subject and object. You are the subject. I am the subject of what's going on inside of me. And we're looking at an object. So many objects come in through our senses, but there's only one subject experiencing each of these observations, these experiences, and that's you. So he goes on to talk about the conscious receiver. So everything that we are so distracted by external objects, we can rarely remain centered on the you. But seldom can we. A lot of people can stay centered on the you. So where do you see me right now? Where do you see me? How do you see me? How do you see me? Where do you see me? Right here. See, you see me with your mind, not with your eyes. You don't see me with your eyes. You don't see any object. You don't see any object. You don't see any, I know, that's shocking, isn't it? You don't see any object. You're seeing an image of the object that's, the light is hitting the object. There's a reflection of the rays of the various spectrums of the light that's being picked up by your photoreceptors in your eye. The image is in your mind. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our mind. Rays of light are bouncing off the object. Objects don't have color. There's no color in the objects. The color comes from the reflection of the light. Reflection or absorb. I see a lot of frowny faces. I know. Yeah, it's true. It's hard. We don't see because we're so distracted in what's on the outer. We're so distracted on what's on the outer. So, the color spectrum of light is the acronym I always remember, and he had it in the book, ROYGBIV. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So whatever the molecules, the light is shining on an object, it's being reflected to us. And that's what the eyes are picking up. But we see it on the inside. So in reality, what's on the outside really doesn't matter because it's the image that we have inside. You're not actually seeing the objects inside. You're seeing the objects inside, not outside. So again, think, how do you see me? You see me as you see me as you are, not as I am. You see me as you are, not as I am. How about that? And science confirms this. When we're looking at, it's like we're looking at a flat metal screen that is imaging the world in front of you. We are looking at the objects we are looking at on this screen inside of us. Who am I? Who am I here looking at a mental image of what is in front of me? What is that? A lot of this teaching he does, I don't think he really refers to it, but if Rose was here, she'd really talk about the Course in Miracles. But all these teachings are similar, and that's what I like to do, is find things that promote a similar understanding of the truth. So self-realization, and that's the enlightenment. It's what he calls enlightenment by Yogananda. Means you have to fully realize you are in there. We have to fully realize that we are inside. The spiritual journey is not about finding yourself. It's not about finding yourself. And we talk about that all the time. It's about revealing who you are as the self, as the true self. Self with a capital S. If someone asked you if you have a soul, or if we have a soul, the answer is no, you don't have a soul. You are in there, consciousness. You are in there as consciousness. You are the soul. We don't have a soul. You are the soul. Again, he stresses that quite a bit in the book. And we can't understand this acceptance concept, what we are, until you understand who is inside of us and who's doing the resisting. Who's doing the resisting? Each of us are the consciousness awareness within that is looking at all of this, all of these objects. So the question is, are you willing to let go of who you thought you were? Because who you thought you were is not who you are. The same inner being is looking at your body, your house, your car. You are the subject. All the rest of the objects are objects of consciousness. So we're the same inner being looking at all these objects. Who are you? What is that consciously? That is a constantly aware entity inside. This is the sobering part of this too. When the body dies, will you still be aware of a being, of your being when you die? Michael Singer poses this. You know, we looked at the 5 questions. Well, his name just left me. You remember his name? 5 invitations. Yeah, Frank. At the Holistic Center, and we looked at death and dying. How many times he'd gone through that counseling people. So he says, we ask the question, and while we're so afraid of death, it seems, is that we're afraid to let go. A lot of us are afraid to let go of the body, afraid to let go of our car, our house. We're afraid to let go of the objects, of the things. So answering this will eventually let you know someone will provide the answer to that. When the body dies, will you still be aware of being? Somebody's going to tell you that. You're going to tell yourself that. Because if you are aware of it, if you die, you'll know. If you're not, it won't matter. So he does this in a way that sounds, death is a once in a lifetime experience. It's exciting because we're going to get to find out. You think about how many questions will be answered. It's a once in a lifetime. But we have so much trouble with death because we identify so much with our bodies, cars, houses, afraid of losing things. So the spiritual journey is about working on these thoughts that leads to identifying and move to a place of identifying with a deeper sense of self, capital S. Our inner life is so beautiful, and I know each one of you've had moments of that. I definitely have. But something inside is messed up, or something is messing it up when we get to these beautiful places. It's like a beautiful house that had been cleaned. You know, there's pizza boxes and yogurt cups and soda bottles all over the house, hadn't been picked up. Well, it's the same for our inner life. We want it to be nice. You want your house to be nice. We want our inner life to be nice. We can make it nice. There's no question. We can clean it up. But the more relevant question is, why isn't it nice? Why is it not nice? Why is your inner life not nice? And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I'll let Michael Singer tell you that. He says people try to use the outside to fix the inside. It's better to find out why it's not so nice inside before we start fixing it with outside stuff. So, all these objects, we see all these people. He says there's 3 things that we experience in there. in there. The outside world coming into through your senses, pleasant or unpleasant, or just passing through. You also have thoughts in there. You are not your thoughts. You are who is noticing thoughts. Thoughts are just another thing you notice in there. And then you also have feelings or emotions. This barrage of these experiences is like a three-ring circus going on inside of our head all the time. Inside of us all the time. And I've heard many of us, we do check-in at meditation. And, that's what we're trying to do, is to let go of that barrage and just to release. So what are these three things, and where do they come from? How much control do you have over them? We sometimes feel good, and other times we will feel bad. So we'll discuss that. That'll be discussed throughout this. What matters is that you in there who is experiencing the things. So how are you doing? And it changes, I know. So you are higher than the experiences, higher, in consciousness, than every experience you've ever had. The one who is seeing all this is the most beautiful thing in the whole universe. And if you've gone into meditation and to be that, Michael Singer in his book, the Surrender Experience, talks about that. It's a place of total peace. And it's the journey finding our way back to self. Again, self with a capital S. So the Buddha taught this. Jesus taught this. Masters of all every tradition have taught this. And what they teach is the kingdom is within you. Now, if the kingdom is within you, that's a beautiful place. You in there are a very great being, made in the image of the divine, of spirit, of the universe. But to know that, you have to be free from all this inner commotion that's going on. So the nature of things that we see and experience is composed of these three experiences: our outer world, our thoughts, and then our feelings or emotions. And where do we see all those? Where does all that happen? It happens in here, also in the heart. So what's the origin and nature of these experiences? More interesting than the outer world, and we get so attached to it. We're so attached to the outer things. And I think in our society, I took my grandsons, my grandkids, 3 of them, to, they were dying to go to Five Below. You ever been in Five Below? It's a kid's mecca. So they had to have a toy. They had to have some toy. They got more toys than they could ever play with in a lifetime, really. But they want a new toy. So I took them. Karen, my wife, she went to Hobby Lobby. She couldn't handle it because they're just, it makes them, it's worse than sugar when they go into Five Below. It's 10 times worse than sugar. But they're so focused on the outer world. And, I've been preparing this and thinking about that. What am I supposed to do? They do it with their parents, and so I decided I don't have to do that again. They may not like it. They won't like it, but I'll play with them at home or do something. I'll play with a toy that they already have because it's so outer focused. It's so outer. So it's almost like we're shining a flashlight on these various objects. Instead of looking at the objects being illuminated, what we need to do is look at the light itself. That's a metaphor. Don't look at the object, look at the light itself. Because that's where we can find the consciousness that's what's aware of inside of us. You are that consciousness. You are the source. You are the light. So the journey before us to free ourselves from the distractions that keep drawing us away from our greatness, from the kingdom within us, is all these distractions in the outer. Well, the outer and what's in our head. So the act of letting go is what is meant by acceptance and surrender. Letting go. For 2 years I've studied this book called Letting Go by David Hawkins. He's a psychiatrist, PhD. It's a big part of what we need to do is letting go. And some of what Michael Singer says parallels, again, this the process of letting go. So great peace is within you. that cannot be disturbed by your world, your thoughts, even your emotions. Objects will continue to freely exist. They freely exist, but they will no longer dominate you. You will be free to fully interact in life, but you will do so out of a sense of love and service. Many of you are doing that. We're doing that as a community, I think, which is fantastic. We do that out of a sense of love and service rather than fear or desire. So what I can do with my great-grandkids is teach them that they don't have to live out of fear or desire wanting a new toy every week. My wife always says, we got them this week again, and said, we're not going to go buy them another toy this week. I said, okay. So the purpose, yeah, we'll see. You're right. Yeah. I talk a big game, don't I? Yeah. The purpose of this book, and again, we've got a few copies back there, Living Untethered, is to learn how to let go of the three distractors and return to the source of your being. Return to the source of your being. That place where we intuitively know. I point to the heart. That's where it is for a lot of people, but it's wherever you intuitively know that you are the source of your being, not the outer. And not these mental images that it's like a big screen TV in our brain. Not those things displaying on our. That's what it means to live untethered. It doesn't take forceful practices to return to your core, and we'll get into some of that. So establish yourself in higher aspect of your being. He calls it the seat of consciousness, conscious awareness. So the journey is an exploration of the outer world, the inner world, mind and emotions. He uses mind and thoughts interchangeably. And the consciousness that experiences all of it. That's each of us for ourselves. So let's learn more about this passive acceptance and what passes before us. We'll do that in the next chapter. Namaste.
Thank you, Ron. Well done. Interesting stuff. And we're looking forward to Michael Singer's next chapter as well. So we're ready to end our service, and I always get to this point here, and I'm trying to figure out how big of a circle can we make.